Tanuj Garg, welcome to CNN News 18. Tanuj, you're a well-known film producer who's credited for producing such films like Tumhari Sulu, Loop Lapeta, Ragni MS. But today, the important question is we are almost reaching a halfway mark of the year 2024. The only hits so far we have are films like Shaitan with close to 150 crores and Crew or Article 370. We saw two big films, Bade Miyan Chote Miyan and Maidan, underperforming in the box office. As a film producer, what are your views about why people are not venturing into the cinemas?
I think it would be inappropriate to say that people are not venturing into cinemas because if that was the case, then you know a lot of the movies that have fared well in the last couple of months would not have got the sort of numbers that they got. Also, some of the smaller movies or the mid-sized movies, which have released and done decent to average business, wouldn't have got even that much business if people weren't going to cinema. So I don't think there is a shortage or a lack of a theatrical audience in this country. I think what has happened is that the audience has just become a little more discerning and a little more selective about the content that they wish to pay for in cinemas. Because of the OTT habit, they're so used to watching things at the click of a mouse in the comfort of their homes. So if you have to drag them to the cinema to fork out a couple of $100 or maybe a couple of $1,000 if you add popcorn and coke. You have to make it really worth their while. I think today people smell a good film. People sniff a promising film from its trailer or from its communication. And I think, if they want to watch it and if they feel it's worth their while, people are going out in large numbers and watching it. And I think it's not just about the absolute numbers that a film does at the box office. It's about matching the numbers with the budget of the film and matching the numbers with the niche or the size of the audience the film is addressing, right? So just to take the example of our own film Do Pyar, which released recently and has bagged exemplary reviews from all quarters, it was predominantly designed to be an OTT film, right? But because, as you're aware, there is a new norm that OTT platforms are keen on movies doing a limited theatrical outing before they come on their service. We did a very tight, a very controlled release, of the Vardopya, which was very clearly targeted just at the high-end plexes, just at the city plexes in the country, So for the audience that you are trying to reach out to, you got to sort of map your numbers accordingly, right? So when you talk about certain films underperforming at the box office, I think it's not just the film underperforming from a qualitative perspective, but I think it's also the film underperforming from its cost perspective, right? It's not just the quality or the film that fails the film, if you know what I mean, but it's also the economics of the film that fail the film. I think that's always been important, but it's become ever so important in today's scenario. Where you need to get your economics right, where you need to be smart, you need to have the ability to push your numbers down. You need to have the ability to say no if something is not making business sense for you. And I think the more that starts happening, I think the more feasible producers, individual projects are going to start becoming.
So then, talking about what worked, then there's only we saw a lot of action films that worked last year. Last year was a good year for Hindi cinema at the box office. We saw Pathan and Jawan, and then Gadar 2, and then Animal. A few years ago, we saw Pushpa working big at the box office. To few, it reminds of the big action films of the 80s or the 90s. Do you think it's time for Bollywood to go back to the action genre for its survival?
No, I don't agree with this because once again, I think in our industry we suffer from a terrible disease of forming generalizations too soon. We're really excited about coming up with trends, and there is no trend that exists. I think time and again we've seen that whenever we try and come up with a trend, literally within a week of that trend getting formalized, the trend gets broken, right? I don't think we should cluster or classify, two or three instances as a trend. That's not really true because just because a couple of mass scale or big scale or tentpole, mass action films have worked, that's not necessarily to say that mass action is here to stay. Because if that were the case, there have also been an equal number of mass action films that have come out which have not worked, right? So what happened to those, right? Similarly, there have been, like you said, films of all shapes and sizes in the last couple of months, and particularly the smaller to mid-sized films, which have yielded better return on investments, right? I don't go by absolute box office numbers. I sort of look at the ROI from a more holistic perspective, which have yielded, better ROIs. Now, how do you explain those films working? I think we come back to the good old truth of King Solomon, the good old wisdom of King Solomon, which says that nothing works like good content, nothing works like well-focused content, nothing works like well-strategized content. So make something good, make something you believe in, make something that's honest. I think the correct word really here is integrity. It's honesty, right? Don't try and just stitch a jigsaw puzzle together, put a piece of jigsaw puzzle together, thinking that, okay, you know what, I've sort of put all the ingredients together and now I've got the sure shot formula which is going to work, because that's the wrong starting point. That's when you know you're going to go wrong, right? Take a leap of faith, look at stuff that you are convinced about, stuff that you believe in, right? Make sure that you're really brutal and hard about your budgets, because eventually your budgets are going to come and save you. And then more importantly, and rather most importantly, make sure that you deploy or distribute the film correctly. It's not just about flooding screens in the market. It's not just about doing 20 shows a day or 15 shows a day or 10 shows a day. It's not just about putting out 20 crores of prints and advertising budget. It's about a very, very well thought through scientific methodology or a modus operandi, sort of constructed or pieced together through application of mind. So I think we need to sort of apply more thought, more mind, more integrity, and more honesty to the filmmaking process.
Coming back to your films, Tanuj, you were the CEO of Balaji Motion Pictures when you all made Dirty Picture. And later, when you started your production company, Ellipsis Entertainment. And that was again with the film starring Vidya Balan. The film was, of course, called Tumhari Sulu. Do you see this association with Vidya Balan as one of the major force in your success?
I think every filmmaker, every actor, every director, every producer has their own favorites, and I think anybody who says they don't are lying, right? Everybody has their own share of people whom they like to work with. Everybody has their own share of people whom they inherently and intrinsically believe in, right? And I think it's just been that everything that Vidya and I have done so far in different capacities has been hugely loved and appreciated. So I distributed, when I was living in London, I distributed Vidya's first film, which was Parinita. And then, years later, I ended up doing the Dirty Picture with her. Then I did Tumhari Sulu with her. And recently I did Do Aur Do Pyar with her, which found a lot of love and acclaim. So I think everything that Vidya and I have done so far has just been very gratifying, right? It's a bond, it's an understanding, it's just a vibe that builds between two individuals, and you know that you just want to keep working together. And I think the other part of the story really here is, as a filmmaker, I'm extremely clear about wanting to enjoy the process of filmmaking, right? And I think you really enjoy the journey when you have, when you're working with people you like, when you're working with people you believe in, when you're working with people, who are accomplished, when you're working with people who are on the same wavelength as you, who share the same thought process as you, who share the same sensibilities as you. And I think that's really important. That shows on screen. So I think just as a philosophy, as a producer, I've always sort of, attached a lot of premium, attached a lot of weightage, to also creating an ecosystem or creating a setup or creating an environment, which fosters creativity, which fosters positivity, which fosters optimism, hope, and a lot of warm vibes that everyone enjoys the journey. And I think Touchwood, in all the films we've done so far as Ellipsis, we've been successful in that sense because people have enjoyed the journey, people have enjoyed the experience. And I think eventually what you need to come out with are good memories.
Some of your films also featured hit tracks like Ooh La La or Hawa Hawaii. Now, music has always been the big audience puller. Do you think a powerful soundtrack can do wonders for a movie?
No, you're absolutely right. I think music is definitely a huge added bonus for a film, right? I mean, I'm a music buff personally. I've grown up on music in the 90s and the early 2000s. So I'm a huge music buff. And therefore, by default, I attach a lot of importance to music in my movies, right? I've done an 8 villain with Mohit, to a Dirty Picture, to a Once Upon a Time in, Mumbai, to a Tumhari Sulu, and even a Do Aur Do Pyar, which had extremely unconventional music. I mean, we had a lot of the top of the line cool, young, youth-friendly indie bands, right? From when Chai Bet Toast to the Local Train to Lucky Ali to all these guys. I think chartbusting music is definitely a huge advantage. It's a huge plus. It's a huge asset for a film. But I don't think that music alone can guarantee any box office success or box office numbers. It can aid your proposition. It can help your proposition. It can sort of bring you more eyeballs, bring you more traction, bring you more noise. But it is not the sole and the most crucial determinant, of box office success. I mean, we've had enough and more examples, not just the last year, but in the last 5 or 10 years, movies which really haven't even had a soundtrack, right? But have still done sparkling business, which have still, received a huge amount of acclaim. So somewhere one also questions how important is music to the success of a film. So I personally would stick my neck out and say I don't think music is crucial or important to the success of a film, but good chart-busting music is definitely an added advantage.
Really, are you saying a Becharam Run did not contribute to the success of Pathan? I mean,
Well, that's debatable, right? I mean, when something works, we're all pundits in hindsight, right? And when something doesn't work, then we're very quick to attributing theories and cause and effect, scenarios, right? So, has it helped the film? Has it not helped the film? Did other factors help the film? I think that's all a matter of debate. But like I said, I think uh, good music, which is widely consumed and not nichely consumed, but widely consumed music is definitely a huge plus to have.
then your next production is called Salam Nuni Apa, which is written by Twinkle Khanna and it stars Dimple Kapadia and Manav Kaur. What can we expect from Salam Nuni Apa?
Oh we haven't officially announced the film yet, but you're right. It's not called Salam Noni Appa. We still haven't announced the title of the film, but yes, it's based on a short story written by Twinkle Khanna called Salam Noni Appa, and I think it was from her book The Legend of Lakshmi Prasad. It's a story that Tina and I incredibly loved. It's got a lot of heart, a lot of soul, a lot of optimism, a lot of sunshine. And we decided to make the film together also because Tina and I have been friends for almost 2 decades now. And like I told you in the earlier part of our conversation, I think it's also about working with people you like to work with. It's about people working with people you enjoy working with, whom you share a vibe. And I think because of the warmth and the fuzziness and the great chemistry that I have with Tina, with Dimple, with Atiya, with Manav Kaul, who did Tumhari Sulu with us. I think it's just turned out to be, such a sweet, simple, and charming film. We're still in the stages of post production. I think hopefully soon, by the end of the year or so, we should hopefully have it out.
And on that note, I want to thank you for taking time out and talking to me and sharing your views. Thank you so much and best of luck.